What if you were the living embodiment of all pervasive peace? What if all sentient beings all around you increased their vibration towards harmony by merely being in your contact? What if through conscious reasoning, focused will, and intentional living, you reform yourself, thereby becoming a catalyst and sparking transformation in others? I'm Shilpa Lewis, meditation and mindfulness coach for midlife mompreneurs, and you are listening to Omnipresent Awareness, the podcast that will inspire you to use your story to serve humanity in not just healing, but thriving as souls, each fulfilling their highest purpose. And now, a conversation recorded with my partner in awareness, Tanya, from our joint podcast, Mindful Mompreneur Moments. And oh yeah, if you could, please listen to the very end of the podcast for powerful insights from our guest. Thank you. Next up, a conversation we had with Keelin O'Brien. Keelin is a professional graphic designer, illustrator, and artist. She's worked at Amazon for the last 10 years. While working at Amazon, she created an artistic event called the Amazon Art Walk. In 2010, Keelin was diagnosed with MS. She chose to face this adversity by taking action. So in 2014, she created a bike race team just for a cure. While still searching for a cure, she gave birth to her son. Shortly afterwards, she became a single mom, still searching for a cure. The following year, she underwent 3 years of an intensive FDA-approved treatment, which kept her in semi-permanent remission. Fast forward to 2021, and Keelin is now writing a book about her journey with MS. She hopes to share her journey of resilience by offering insights on how she managed to survive MS through a holistic lifestyle, which includes meditation, acupuncture, yoga, cycling, rock climbing, and walking wherever she can go. Keelin believes resilience is a hard-earned personality trait. It is a badge of survival. Resilience to Keelin means always looking for the silver lining, finding gratitude, especially within difficult lessons, and never giving up. And now, here's Keelin. Welcome, Keelin.
Thank you so much for joining us, Keelin.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you here. Keelin O'Brien. We're so happy that you are on this podcast with us today. So I'll dive right into the topic of resiliency. And we wanted to talk to you about how we believe you're the perfect fit for this based on your triumphant life, both personally and professionally. So maybe you could start off by sharing a little bit about your journey.
Sure. Well, I was diagnosed with MS 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago, and I had the opportunity to try about 6 of the drugs that are on the market now for multiple sclerosis. Multiple sclerosis is a neurological condition that really attacks your nerve endings and causes balance and cognitive issues. It can be strongly connected with anxiety and depression too. There's a lot of emotional stuff that goes along with all of the physical and neurological symptoms that people experience. After having taken a number of the drugs on the market, I became eligible for a treatment called Lemtrada, which is a $500,000 treatment that most people don't get a chance to take because it's really hard to get your insurance to cover such an expensive drug. And that's why I had to try almost everything else on the market and have it not work to become eligible for the program. Lemtrada is an intravenous outpatient drug that basically reboots you like your immune system like a computer, and you go right back to the beginning and have no protection against anything. So as soon as I did Lemtrada, I got every single cold, every single thing that came along, and I was also a new mom at the time. So of course, your kiddo gives you just everything under the sun anyways. And after about 3 years, I had recovered my immune system and been really lucky. I've been successful with the treatment. I haven't had any relapses. All of my MRIs have come back perfect. Just fingers crossed it keeps going this way, but MS is really, it's a really strange, not very well understood disease, and there's no cure at this time.
So happy to hear that you're doing well, though. That is such a blessing.
Yeah, thank you. Most people in their lifetime will be touched by MS in some capacity, whether it's a family member or a friend, or hopefully not themselves. Yeah. And then it's also kind of interesting because it shows up in hotspots around the globe, and that's why some scientists and like I guess maybe epidemiologists believe that there's a connection to vitamin D. It shows up in areas like the Nordic region, the Pacific Northwest. There's a couple other hot spots I'm not thinking of, but yeah, it's super funny because, not funny, haha, but I'd always noticed the campaigns around Seattle as a child. They always sort of popped out to me. We have billboards that are all over that say, is it in the water? Is it in the soil? Why is the Pacific Northwest such a hot spot for multiple sclerosis?
I didn't know that. Now, Keelin, it also affected the sort of the last stage of your pregnancy, correct?
Yeah, I had kind of a funny case of MS. I'm really athletic, and I do a lot of holistic activities and a lot of yoga. And I was getting all of these bad reports on my MRIs from my neurologist, but I wasn't experiencing any issues other than maybe some cognitive issues that are hard to really pinpoint to anything. Maybe you're just being overworked, you're not getting enough sleep, and that's why you can't remember things. But my neurologist kept saying, man, you should not be doing this well. What is going on? And then I got pregnant, and pregnancy is supposed to be a time of like peace for people with MS. They usually go into a state of remission the entire pregnancy, and they don't have any problems. One of my neurologists teased me once and said, you should just stay pregnant for the rest of your life. You'll never have any disease progression. But for some reason, I worked the exact opposite. And as soon as I got pregnant, bam, I started having one relapse after another, and they weren't minor. I woke up 2 months pregnant, paralyzed on half my body. I couldn't move my right arm, right leg, and I literally couldn't feel anything. I couldn't wiggle my fingers or toes. And it was the strangest, most surreal experience. So I think I had 4 relapses during my pregnancy, which caused my son to be premature on top of it, which, compounds the anxiety and cortisol in your system. And so I had 2 more relapses while he was in the NICU. And he spent 2 months in the neonatal ICU trying to recover from prematurity. But luckily he's fine. He's totally fine. They sent him home with me on my birthday, which was a really wonderful birthday present.
Absolutely. Another blessing. I'm so glad to hear that he's okay. Thank you so much for sharing. It's such an amazing journey that you're on. It's continuous, right? As a mom, you're always so worried about your children. So when things like this happen, I can only imagine what you must have been going through, because as mothers, we would do anything for our children. So as soon as I hear the word NICU, and I'm like, my heart just melts, just thinking of him in the little incubator, or, So, yeah.
And her son
He
is
was
so beautiful.
Thank you. He was so tiny. He was only 2 pounds and 7 ounces when he was born. Yeah, he was just like the littlest, sweetest little thing.
So you mentioned yoga.
Yeah.
How do you integrate any mindfulness modalities? For example, the practices of yoga that you mentioned, or meditation, anything?
Well, I was getting my yoga teacher training certificate right before I got pregnant. My pregnancy was a surprise. And so I continued to do yoga the whole time I was pregnant. And I think that even though I was relapsing so much and going through so much physically, it really helped me. And as soon as my son came home from the NICU, I started integrating him into my yoga, and I had the coolest flows that I would do. And really, he was so teeny tiny that he was very easy to do yoga with. I would hold him against my heart and go into warrior pose, or, go into lifts with him and lift him up in the air.
I hope you got pictures of that, because just hearing you, it just sounds so beautiful.
It was really sweet. It was really sweet. I went to a mommy and kiddo yoga class, and everybody, I think that the way they were teaching it, everyone put their child on the mat next to them and then did the yoga above the child. But I always brought, my son's name is Finn, I always brought him with me into all the poses. And when I would go down into child's pose at the end, I would lay him down on the mat and kind of reach my arms across over him and give him a kiss.
Oh, yeah, I can just imagine.
I have some videos of it.
Oh, good.
I would love to see that. That is wonderful. So Keelin, what does resilience mean to you in relation to life or current events that are occurring, such as the pandemic?
Yeah, that's a big question. I did Landmark Forum the last year I was in San Diego too. I don't know if I ever mentioned that to you, Shilpa, but I identified resiliency as one of my core strengths as a human.
Oh, I'm just getting goosebumps hearing that.
Yeah, we knew we chose you for a reason.
But I feel like resiliency is one of those things where you develop resiliency because you've been through a lot. So it's sort of a wonderful trait, but also the hallmark of somebody who's had plenty of challenges, right? Yeah. How do I see it in relationship to the pandemic? Well, I just think resiliency is always about putting one foot in front of the other and moving forward and looking for silver linings and looking for positive energy wherever you can. And I think that all of us are doing that with the pandemic, trying every day to make the most of it and see maybe there's a light at the end of the tunnel, or maybe you're just finding positive energy around you and in the moments of the day. And I try to pause and take a moment of gratitude every single day. I have an 11:11 gratitude alarm on my phone, and I pause and just
111.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Take
That's
that
crazy,
moment.
because Shilpa was telling me about that symbol, that
I see
111.
that repetition pattern all the time. And
Yeah.
something significant is always around the corner.
Yeah, I love it. But I thought, I don't see it every single day. So I'll just remind myself every single day to take that moment of grace and gratitude and remember what went well. There's so many things that didn't. So that pause helps me out.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I feel like the last question I want to ask, you kind of answered, but maybe you have some more. And it's what insights can you share with us and the audience that's listening about resilience? Any insights?
Yeah. Oh gosh. I think the moments of gratitude really help. Just taking that opportunity with yourself to think about what you are thankful for, what is going well in life. I'm drawing a blank here.
But that alone is huge. Just, I think we underestimate the power of giving thanks, just being grateful.
Mhm.
So,
And
yeah.
remembering that we're stronger than we think we are. When we're
Oh.
going through something really hard, sometimes we surprise ourselves. You think you couldn't live through a thing. You couldn't live through a disease like MS, or you couldn't live through a premature, childbirth, or multiple months stay in the hospital. But when you're in it, you just find this deep wealth of strength inside yourself. We all have those things. Everybody has the things they've survived and lived through that everyone else says, I can't believe you survived that, and how can you have a smile on your face? We all have it. The human
Yeah,
existence.
and there it is. That's the powerful insight right there. That's great. Thank you so much.
I believe that you apply this in all areas of your life as well. Even being in corporate America as a woman probably has its challenges.
Oh, heck yeah.
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 Thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate you, and many blessings to you and your beautiful family. We're so happy that you are all doing so well.
Yeah, thank you for the beautiful work you're both doing.
Thanks again for tuning in. Check out the links in the description, and please subscribe, follow, and share. And continue to be omnipresent.